Hi, Therese here with Trace Bradley Art. And if you've been following along with me on Instagram, or if you're on my newsletter list and you're getting my weekly emails, you know that I have started this project called ICAD, I-C-A-D, and that stands for Index Card a Day. And the person who came up with this idea, her name is Tammy Garcia, and her website is Daisy Yellow Art, so you can go look her up. And she talks about this idea she created called ICAD, which is basically using an index card. Here's one, as your substrate to create art on every day. And she runs it from June and July. And so the idea is this card is very inexpensive. It's readily available, super easy to get. It's not precious, so you don't have to worry about ruining this, right, with the art that you make. So it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to just begin. That's the whole idea. So I have just begun. And I've got 3 so far. I'll show them to you very briefly. So here was my first one, and here's my second one, and here's what you're going to be able to watch my process and how I think like an artist while I create my heart art. That's what we're doing today is this card here. So these 3 cards are based on thumbnail sketches, which are tiny little sketchy designs. They're a jumping off point. They're not a full-blown put everything exactly how it is on this. They're small. They're just to give you an idea and a starting place. And so what I'm using is I have 3 different courses that have heart art thumbnails, and I'm just going through those courses of mine and deciding what do I want to make today. And so I'm just choosing a thumbnail and going with it. So if that sounds intriguing to you, I will include a link in the description down below to one of these courses. It's called From Blank Page to Beautiful Heart Art. It will give you all kinds of ideas, right, for as a jumping off point and art like this that you could make. So enough blah, blah, blah. And let's get to the process of making this beautiful card. Today is Wednesday. So this is my Healing Wednesday representation. And I am sending anyone who needs it today, love and healing to anyone who needs it today, including myself. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so for today's ICAD Index Card a Day, I thought I would film my process and then also talk out loud what pops into my mind as I'm creating my index card today. So what I've done is I've chosen a thumbnail sketch from my course called From Blank Page to Beautiful Heart Art, and I'll link that in the description below. So if you have an interest in how I'm creating these Index Card a Day heart cards, that is a resource that has 6 different heart art designs in it, and I walk you step by step on how to create those 6 different designs. So that's a resource. If you would like to take advantage of that, I'll link that below. So let me talk about what I've pulled to work on today's card. So I have, this is just, this one's a smaller 3x5 index card. So I'll create on the blank side. I've been writing a few notes to myself about where I pulled the idea from, what my source was, because I've got several different heart art journaling courses. Love Made Visible is one of them, and another is Words to Live By. And they talk about creating these heart art heart art designs as well. So anyway, I like to leave myself a little note about where I'm pulling the thumbnail design that I'm working with from, the date, what card number it is, things like that. And I'm also writing down one thing that I learned through creating the card that day. So I'm making a note for myself I can refer back to. Okay, so enough blah, blah, blah about that. So what am I using? So I have this basket that I've just gathered some scraps in, so that it's easy to pull from. I do have another like a zipper pouch that has a bunch of larger scraps as well. This is the basket that I've been storing my cards in, both the blank ones, and once I've created them, I'm putting them in here for now. And what I've chosen today to work on with this card is I pulled out my snippet roll, that piece of snippet roll that I have. I've got this butterfly image. I love the colors. I love the green and this sort of soft turquoisey blue, and then just a little pop of orange. And I'll be honest, when I looked at this, I said, no, I can't use that because the bottom wings got cut off. There was something probably on this other side that I had cut and used, and in cutting and using whatever was on this side, it actually cut into the bottom of this butterfly. So that initial response, that inner critic response of mine was, no, this is ruined. It's not perfect. You can't use it. But I just love it. I really love these colors. And there's something about the darkness of the wings making these colors pop. I thought that that would stand out, even though I have this kind of busy chaoticness going on. My snippet roll, the darkness of the butterfly, I thought would help pop. And then, so based on this coloring and letting my inner critic know, it's okay if this butterfly isn't perfect. It's okay if the bottom of the wings have gotten cut off. It's okay if this butterfly is not whole and complete. It still has value. It will still have impact. I love it still. I'm going to use it. So talk to your inner critic. When your inner critic pops up and starts telling you you can't make art because you don't have the perfect supplies, just reassure it. It's okay. We're safe. We can make beautiful art even with imperfect supplies. Therese is going to show you how to do it. It will be okay. All right. So I'm going to now pull with these colors because these are attracting me. So I have this orange circle that I just painted simply with watercolors, and I added a little bit of metallic watercolor in there. I don't know if you can see that shimmer, but there's just a little bit of shimmer. And so that picks up the orange right at the bottom here of these butterfly wings. And then I know that there's not purple per se in this butterfly, but I found this little scrap where I had embroidered, gosh, years and years ago. So this was just in my scrap pile, and I thought this would be a fun addition. So now I'm bringing in this element of purple, right? I found this little tea bag tag. It says, may you always do what you are afraid to do. I think this is such a good message, especially for today's card where my inner critic said, nope, can't use that. It's not perfect. It's not going to be beautiful art. That's a fear response, right? That's a fear response. So let's have courage. Let's work through that fear. And so this is great. May you always do what you are afraid to do. If you're afraid to make imperfect art, I hope you do it. If you're afraid because you don't have the perfect supplies, I hope you do it. So I like that. So that is the messaging I'm going to include on my ICAD today. And then I have this little green heart that I made in a similar way to this watercolor circle, just watercolor. And then I added a little bit of glimmer with, I don't know if you can see that, but on the metallic there. So, all right, so let's get down to making this imperfect. I had pulled these out too as possibilities, but I found the orange and I think I like that better. So look at, this is very simple supplies here, right? I have my snippet roll I'll rip a chunk out of. I'm going to cut this butterfly out. I've got this little fabric scrap. I've got this little watercolor heart, a watercolor circle, and a tea bag tag with a message that I love. Simple, simple, right? Okay, so let's do, I'm going to cut out this butterfly first. So let me cut around here so I have less bulk of paper. All right. Now remember, when you fussy cut, steer the paper. See how I'm turning the paper? Rather than trying to turn your scissors for these detail cuts, guide it with the paper. And I'm going to see if I can get those antennas. They're very delicate, so I'm not cutting all the way down. Let me show you what I did there. So I didn't cut all the way down to the body. I just cut a little bit down and then came back and looped around that antenna. And that will help that antenna stand out a little bit. That's my hope. So let's do this one as well. Just come in a little bit and loop back out, just enough to make some definition. When I was taking forever ago one of my first life drawing classes, my teacher said to me, my professor said to me, pay attention to the edges and the corners. Pay attention to the edges and the corners. So, you know, it's like those little details, sometimes those will make the difference. And so I'm hoping, having cut in just a little bit here for the antenna, that will make a little bit of a difference and help this butterfly pop. Okay, so there is my imperfect, not complete, not whole butterfly, but I just love it anyway. And isn't that a nice message? Like, this is a good metaphor, right? That even though we're imperfect, and even though we're not whole, and even though we might still feel like we're, you know, on a healing journey or whatever, we have value, we can have impact, we can be beautiful, we can create beautiful things anyway. We don't have to be perfect. This is just, so now see, I have just embedded this butterfly symbol. I've just embedded it with all this meaning for me. And I'm going to remember this. Every time I look at this card, I'm going to remember the symbolism of this specific butterfly. Okay. So we got the butterfly cut out. Let's figure out what the backing is going to be. So I want this butterfly to be able to pop, right? So this is my plan, is to put the circle down, have the butterfly coming off the circle, have my little bit of snippet roll. See, I really like it with this turquoisey color here. I like the way that makes the orange pop. I like that that's kind of an echo of these little blue spots in the wings. So this is a trick I have learned to use with myself. So I could spend so much time just like moving this butterfly up and down and trying to find, right, the perfect place, right? The perfect piece of snippet roll, right? Oh, maybe I like that better. Oh, maybe I like that better. Maybe I like, yeah, I mean, you could just go on and on, right? So I have kind of made a rule for myself when I'm creating art so that I don't get sucked down this endless hole of, in my head, right, of just comparing and not actually making and producing. So my rule for me is, if I find something that works, I do it. Even if there might be something that's more perfect or prettier or whatever, I don't let myself get sucked in, because I can remake this same design over and over and over and over again. I just paint more circles. I just paint more hearts. I just get more butterflies to cut out, right? There's nothing precious about any of this. There's nothing that says this is the only one I will ever make. This is my first one. This is not my only one. I can keep making this same version over and over and over and over again. So I don't have to worry about getting it right the first time. If I find something that's pleasing to me, that my design aesthetic says, yes, that works, boom, just do it. Don't get sucked in that, I don't know, that endless loop of figuring out, is this perfect? So I had said, yes, I like this. I like what's going on here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this part. I am going to rip off this top part here, only because it's a little bit busy. That's all. But I've got this turquoise, right? Which I liked so much with the orange, helping make that orange pop, and the butterfly. Okay, so this goes to about here. So I've roughly ripped a piece that's the length of my card. And then what I can do at this point that I tell myself is okay, right, for these rules I've made myself, right? And it's all just whatever you make up, is I can say, well, do I like it turned the other way better? Do I like the turquoise down here better? And I'm going to say no, and this is why. I know I want to use this scrap of material down here, and that's going to start covering up this pretty turquoise color that I liked. So I'm going to go back with my snippet roll and put it the way I originally had. And then I don't think I want it straight down the middle. I'm feeling like I want to have it off to the side a little bit. So I get to decide, do I want it off to the side here, or do I want to pull my snippet roll to the other side and do that? So that's just kind of, you know, you get to call that. And then I'm going to have this, now see, if I put this, look at that. If I put this fabric right on top of the cut edges of those butterfly wings, then you don't even know that those wings weren't full, do you? So I'm liking this. So I've decided I like it. So again, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to say I found something that works. I'm going to glue it down. Okay. For paper to paper, I often just use glue stick. But when I glue the fabric, or if I have something heavier weight, then I will often use a heavier glue, a tacky, either a white tacky glue or like the those clear fabric glues. I use both of those a lot. Okay, now I could have this dangle off the edge of my card. I'm kind of liking that idea. I like that it's not like I'm not trying to squeeze everything into this box, right? That I can have it a little bit off center. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to just decide to glue this down. And this particular one is on mixed media paper, so it's light enough I don't have to use a heavy glue, I don't think. I think I can get away with a glue stick. If it was a piece on a piece of watercolor paper, I would probably use a heavier glue for that, but I think this will be fine. Now, do I want the lightness up? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to push that down, and then I have a butterfly, and I'm going to want this fabric, right? Now I could have the whole strip of fabric, so it just divides this. I could do that, and then I could bring my, I'm going to want this heart on here too, though, right? Okay, so now I'm just kind of like testing this. Is this how I like it? I I could have this not come all the way over. It could just, you know, be a little bit of a gap. Could turn this. So now I'm saying, okay, do I want this to be a single flower on the left-hand side, or do I like that double? I like the double over. So I know I like this. And as I'm moving this butterfly up and down, what I'm noticing is what's happening in this little gap area here. Am I getting an edge of the circle? Do I like that? Do I not want to see that? And I'm deciding I don't want to see that. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this butterfly down because I know that's where I'm gonna want it. And I don't have to like adhere it tightly. I can just kind of press the middle. So if I decide I want to tuck something under the wing, that's not glued down yet. So I could go back and add something if I want. I don't know that I want to, but that's available. And then I decided I wanted this to come off here. And I think I'm going to make this a little more frayed. Can I do that? A little more. I like this kind of all these stringy bits. Okay, and I think I'm going to cut this off. So I've got this little piece I can save for later. And this fabric I'm going to use a heavier glue for this fabric. And I want it to come on the edge of these wings. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue right there by those wings. And put that fabric down. And maybe I can make this a little, fray that a little bit too. Okay, so we got some texture going on with the frayed fabric. I like that. And I'll have to decide, do I want my heart? Originally, I was going to put the heart on the butterfly. I'm going to scoot this down a little bit so I can see more of this orange. So it's just tucked. There we go. Okay, like that. So do I want to put my heart here? I like having this. Let me glue that down because I like that. Since I'm going on top of fabric, I'm going to go ahead and use this heavier glue. Okay, now I could do like something like put the heart here. I could put the heart here. You know, I can move it around, but I'm kind of, this is something I do a lot. When I have butterfly images, I will often put a heart over the body. And so I think I'm just going to stick with that because I know I like it. So. Yeah. And then sometimes I will go back and add a little sparkly bit right where the head goes. Wonder if I have some tiny little, I don't know what these are called. These little sparkle thingies. I've got an orangey one. I don't know if that will show up on it might blend in with the circle more than I want. Flip over, you. Yep, can't even get that one to work. Okay, that's message, right? Message from the art wooniverse. Don't use that one. I've got this purpley one that helps tie in this fabric. And look at, there's a little bit of purple here now, right? So I'm getting a little bit of a visual triangle. Have to look for it a little bit, but there's a little bit of a visual triangle happening. So let's do that. When I'm putting these gemstones on, I don't usually use that, the glue I use for fabric, because the fabric glue that I have is really stringy. And I like the control that I can get with a white tacky type craft glue. Look at that. Here is a beautiful ICAD. index card a day, heart art, wonderful for Healing Wednesday, wonderful message. May you always do what you're afraid to do. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have perfect supplies. We can make beautiful heart art just by responding to all these different scraps, right? We can let the scraps lead the way and end up with beautiful heart art.